I'd like to call the Gurnee Village Board regular meeting of May 16th, 2016 to order. Roll call, please.
Wilson. Here. Ross.
Here.
Garner. Thorstenson.
Here.
Balmas.
Present.
Hood. Here. 5 present.
All right. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone. Honored to have Gurnee's finest with us tonight and their families. First up will be public comment. You can come to the microphone and state your name, and you can volunteer your address. Good evening, Mr. Kohler.
Good evening, Mayor. Jerry Kohler, 3641 Highland Avenue, Gurnee. Excuse me if I start gasping for air here. I have difficulty in breathing lately. So I'm here in regards to the North Shore Sanitary District, which we all know. I'm going to read a pre statement here. I'm here on behalf of at least 300 property owners. We have been paying taxes to the North Shore Sanitary District, formerly called the North Shore Water Retention District, formerly the North Shore Sanitary District, since 1998. There are 421 parcels were annexed by the Sanitary District. To date, I've been taxed over $1,400. You multiply that by the 300 parcels, it equates to over $420,000. This was done by a couple of engineers, one from each, the village and the sanitary district. This should have been approved by the village trustees by ordinance. The definition of ordinance is decree, rule, or right, which never happened. A previous mayor took the blame for the annexation to the sanitary district. I have done a lot of research. There was never a pre-annexation agreement, a must document between the North Shore Sanitary District and the property owners. The sanitary district assigned an ordinance number 337 to the area's 421 parcels. At that time, 118 parcels had sewers. Today, on the internet, I've got them out with 126 as of 4 o'clock this afternoon. The rest do not have. Some parcels still have no pipe in the ground. 3641 Highland, no pipes in the ground. I am tired of paying taxes to the North Shore Water Retention District that we can't use. They equate it to don't have kids in school. If I had kids or grandkids, they could go to school here. You can't compare the two. All right, and I'm sorry, taking a minute here. And we were forced by it, and this was forced on us by a couple of engineers that had no authority to act on behalf of the village, and circumvented the process. There was never an ordinance, which is the law. I've got more done. I don't want to hold up the meeting any longer, but I'll another public comment at the end of the meeting.
Okay. And as I committed to you, we're going to get the meeting set up with Brian, myself, and you here.
We need more than just the three of us. We need more than just the three of us. This is going to...
Who else do you want in the meeting?
We'll talk later.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kohler. Anyone else like to address the board before I move on to the agenda? If not, there will be another opportunity at the end. All right, so first item of business is approval of the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Balmas, second by Trustee Ross. Roll call, please, Andy.
Wilson.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5 aye.
Motion carries. Patrick, please read the consent agenda into the record.
Item number 1, approval of the minutes from the May 2nd, 2016 Village Board meeting. Item number 2, approval of ordinance 2016-34, authorizing the execution of and ratifying an agreement with the Newport Township Fire Department for dispatch services. Item number 3, approval of resolution 2016-03, adopting the fiscal year 2017 through 2021 strategic plan for the Village of Gurnee. Item number 4, approval of fireworks permit for Six Flags Great America, shoot dates of May 26th, July 2nd, July 3rd, and July 4th. July display to be launched from the southwest corner of the property. Item number 5, approval of awarding the 2016 sidewalk mudjacking project to the low bidder, Power Concrete Lifting, at a cost of $2.50 per square foot, not to exceed $25,000. Item number 6, approval of awarding a railroad quiet zone study to Patrick Engineering at a cost not to exceed $15,000. Item number 7, approval of setting a bid date of June 14, 2016 for Route 21 sidewalk improvement project, South Road to Washington Street. Item number 8, approval of payroll for period ending April 30, 2016 in the amount of $773,917.14. Item number 9, approval of payroll transfer journal for period ending April 30, 2016 in the amount of $766,438.85. Item number 10, approval of bills for period ending May 16, 2016 in the amount of $3,946,688.49.
Thank you, Patrick. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read into the record? Motion by Trustee Balmas, second by Trustee Thorntonson. Roll call, please. Andy?
Wilson.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5 aye.
All right, motion carries. We'll move on to petitions and communications. As I said at the beginning, we're extremely honored to honor some of our finest officers tonight with some awards. And if Chief Woodside and Deputy Chief Campbell could come up front. Got the handheld.
Thank you very much. Tonight I have the pleasure of recognizing officers that have made a significant contribution to traffic enforcement. The officers that we're going to recognize tonight are in the highest level of performance in a combination of speed enforcement and seatbelt enforcement and DUI enforcement, the three offenses that result in crashes and injuries as a result of crashes. And as you will see from some of these awards, many of these officers have been consistently high producers in these areas, the most significant traffic offenses, for a number of years. So when I call you up, if you would come up and receive your award. With us up here is Pamela Barnett from AIM, and that's the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists, and they are providing some of the DUI recognition awards. Would you like to say a few words?
I just wanted to mention briefly, we thank you for all of your work and making the roads safe. I was just at a victim impact panel in Lake County, and one of the people sentenced to the victim impact panel talked to me about how important it was for them to go through the treatment and the VIP, and they were actually thankful that they had been stopped and they hadn't killed somebody. So thank you.
Thank you. The first award is to Officer Tom Jensich. He's receiving the Traffic Enforcement Award for a combination of speed and seatbelt enforcement, and this is the third time that he's received this award. Officer Marty DePurdy is receiving the AIM Award for DUI enforcement, and he is also receiving his fifth Traffic Enforcement Award. Officer Juan Gill is receiving the AIM DUI Enforcement Award, the Gurnee Police Department DUI Enforcement Award for 20 or more arrests. It's his first time receiving this award. Officer Derek Kay is receiving a handful of awards here tonight. He's receiving the AIM DUI Enforcement Award, a pin for 50 DUI arrests over his career, the Gurnee DUI Enforcement Award for 24 arrests this year, and he's receiving the Traffic Enforcement Award for the second time. Officer Michael Stoner is also receiving every award we have here tonight. He's receiving the AIM Award. He's receiving a 50 DUI Career Pin Award. Making 20 DUI arrests this year. He's receiving the Gurnee DUI Enforcement Award for the third time. And also for the third time, he's receiving the Traffic Enforcement Award. And that coincides with 3 years of service. So you've received that award every year you've been here. And finally, Officer J.R. Nasita is receiving the AIM Award, the Gurnee DUI Enforcement Award for 23 arrests this year, and he is receiving this award for the 7th time. 7 years he's had more than 20 DUI arrests. Now we promised AIM we would get a picture, so come on in here. Mayor, would you join us for the picture? Yeah.
Blade up, not straight out.
Something, right? Yeah, right. Yeah.
One more. Thank you.
Don't go far, Chief.
No excuse that the people inside, it's like they are, walking around, checking IDs.
All right. We are very, very blessed to have such hardworking officers dedicated to this community. That's for sure. That is it under petitions and communications. Move on to
Yes.
reports or do the COW?
We can do it.
Okay. So we will go on to reports, and we have a report out from Chief Woodside on a new opioid?
Opioid.
Opioid?
Sorry.
Oh, never mind. He's going to explain it since I can't pronounce it. But it sounds like a very worthwhile program, so thank you, Chief, for bringing it forward, and we're anxious to hear about it.
Thank you very much, Mayor and members of the board. I've given each of you a draft copy of a policy describing a way out program. And just for purposes of perspective, late last year with State's Attorney Mike Nerheim, as part of the Lake County Opioid Initiative, we partnered with police departments in Mundelein, Libertyville, Lake Forest, Grays Lake, Round Lake Beach, and Round Lake Park to explore a pre-booking diversion program to assist those with drug addictions into treatment programs as an alternative to criminal charge. The group studied a similar program in Gloucester, Massachusetts called the Angel Program. The result is a program called A Way Out, which will provide an addict an opportunity to avoid criminal prosecution and enter drug treatment by coming to the police station, turning over any drugs or paraphernalia in their possession for destruction, and simply asking for help. Offenders with pending criminal charges, 3 or more drug-related convictions on their record, if one of those convictions involves dealing drugs or a violation within the school zone, will not be eligible for the program. For those who qualify, we will not charge them criminally. Instead, we will contact the Lake County Health Department to assist their needs. For an estimated 90% of those participants, outpatient treatment will be prescribed. They would be given an appointment, and we would facilitate helping them to get there. For those requiring medical treatment or an inpatient program, Condell Medical Center has agreed to receive and handle those patients. For them, we will facilitate transfer to the hospital and turn them over to a screener that would be provided through the Lake County Health Department. The demand on our officers' time in most cases will be less than that associated with an arrest, and the cost to participate will undoubtedly be lower than that of a prosecution. This is the first time a program of this kind is being attempted on a county-wide basis, and I believe our participation will help ensure its success and ultimately can lead to a reduction in overdose deaths in Lake County. A Way Out will begin providing an alternative to arrest and assisting addicts into treatment beginning on June 1st. The Village of Gurnee will be a part of this pilot program and on the front edge of this innovative program. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you have about the program or our policy.
I have one question. So there could possibly be no interaction with our police officers or traffic side. This is just somebody that knows they have a problem, they want to get help, and they just come to the police department. So if you went to somebody's house and found drugs and arrested them with this program, would they be eligible for this program?
The policy allows for an officer's discretion
Okay.
in that case. So it's if an officer felt that it was a good fit and it was a volunteer for the program, they could enter them into this program rather than charge them criminally. But that would be discretionary. But for somebody who comes to the police station and turns themselves in, then we would give them an assurance that we wouldn't charge them criminally if they fit the program.
So is there training for our officers to help them make those decisions about who's a good fit and who's not?
Yes, yeah, we will work with the officers to provide them with a blueprint for how to exercise discretion. The key is it's voluntary. Somebody's got to be ready for treatment and ready to do this.
Okay, sounds worthwhile. Questions from the trustees? Trustee Hood, Trustee Ballmer, Trustee Wilson?
What other state did you say that this was used in?
There are a number. The original program that this was modeled after was in Gloucester, Massachusetts. There are a number of other communities. Rolling Meadows has a similar program with some differences, but there is not a lot of precedent for this in Illinois. And this will be the first time that this has been rolled out on a countywide basis.
In Massachusetts, have they seen a decent amount of people turning themselves in?
Yes. Yeah. It's one police department serving a large area, so they have had a lot of participants in this program.
How are we going to market that?
Well, it's going to be a countywide effort through the, and I'm going to say this again, the Lake County Opioid Initiative. There'll be a press conference to announce the beginning of the program, and then we will use social media and every avenue that we have to help get that word out.
Other questions? All right, well, it sounds wonderful and worthwhile, and I'm glad we are participating. Thank you for taking the initiative. So do you need anything from us other than we support you?
Other than your support,
Okay.
there's not any call for board action on this at this point.
All right. Well, it'll be interesting to see after a few months, or 6 months, or a year, what the results are of success, and I'm sure they won't all be successful, but it'd be interesting to see some feedback on it. Good. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We have no other reports, but we also have nothing scheduled for the May Committee of the Whole. We have something scheduled for the June Committee of the Whole. So does anyone have an objection to not holding a May Committee of the Whole meeting next Monday?
I make a motion to cancel it.
We have a motion from Trustee
Second.
Ballmer, second from Trustee Thorntonson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we will not have a meeting. We'll have one in June. We're already ready to go on that one. All right, any old business?
No.
All right, then we are going to move on to new business. The first item is approval of ordinance 2016-35,
Correct.
granting a variation pursuant to the Gurnee zoning ordinance for 123 North Oak Plain Road, and the petitioners are here.
Yep. So you had a pretty detailed memo from our planning manager, Tracy Velkover, so I'll kind of walk through this, and if I make a mistake, then Tracy's here to save me on it. So Lake County Children's Advocacy Center at 123 North Oak Plain Road was before the Planning and Zoning Board on April 6th requesting a variation to allow an 8-foot tall solid wood fence and a required corner yard setback. So we're talking about parallel to Brookhaven Drive. Looking for the fence to provide seclusion and privacy to the children and families that use the Healing Garden. For this property, a fence up to 10 feet in height can be placed in the corner side yard setback between the rear yard and rear lot line to enclose the resulting yard. But anything, let me see here. I'm sorry, excuse me. Pages are stuck together here. But anything on the corner side yard, or remaining corner side yard, is limited to 4 feet in height. If it's taller than 4 feet in height, then it's got to be set back 30 feet from the property line. As I said, they were looking for that variation on the height. It was unanimously approved by the Planning and Zoning Board that night, subject to a couple of conditions, that the fence along Brookhaven be set back 2 feet from the northern property line, that the westerly fence line be located at an alternate location as set forth on the plans that were submitted, and then that the applicant work with staff and the adjacent homeowners in Kensington regarding a landscape plan. After the Planning and Zoning Board meeting, the applicant amended their fence plan, so they came back with a little different plan. Instead of the 8-foot-tall board-on-board fence, they came back with a 6-foot-tall wrought iron fence along the stretch along Brookhaven there. That ties back to the existing 8-foot-tall fence. Looking to make this more of a living fence, so planting more vegetation along the fence and on the fence that'll grow up and provide the seclusion. Staff took a look at this, as well as the landscape plan, had our village enforcer take a look at the materials that were used. Everything looks good. It's less intense than the 8-foot tall board-on-board fence. So from that perspective, went along with what was approved by the Planning and Zoning Board. So like I said, staff ran through it. The more intense use made it through the Planning and Zoning Board. They scaled it back a little bit. The vegetation plan staff looked at was fine. Heard back from a representative from the Homeowners Association that also agreed with it. So now it's before the village board tonight for consideration.
Okay, questions from
I have a question.
trustees? Trustee Thornton?
So are you still going to have the 2-foot setback?
It still needs to be set back 2 feet from the property line, the wrought iron fence. Correct? No? Oh, okay. Tracy, you want to?
I know that because I attended that meeting, the reason why they pushed it back is to allow for the vegetation on the outside of the fence, but now it sounds like the vegetation will be on the inside of the fence?
The wrought iron fence will be located right on the property line, and the landscaping will be on the inside.
That's nice, so it gives you the 2 feet back. Thanks.
Motion to approve?
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Wilson, second by trustee Ross. Any other discussion? All right, roll call, please, Andy.
Wilson.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5 aye.
Motion carries. Very happy for you. Our state attorney's here, Mike Nearham. So good luck with the fence. It'll be a nice addition, and you're doing good work there.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is approval of ordinance 2016-36, approving a license and service agreement with Tyler Technologies for Munis Financial Software.
Sure. So
Major milestone.
yeah, Brian's going to walk us through a presentation on this. We talked about this during the budget process. This is the replacement of our financial software that's nearing 20 years old. It had funding included in the budget, went through a RFQ process, received some proposals back, staff evaluated those, and then we have a recommendation that we're bringing forward. Brian will kind of walk through the process and how we got to where we're at today and what we're recommending.
All right, thank you, Pat. As Pat mentioned, looking to replace 20-year-old software. It's currently SunGuard HD. It was in place in at least 96, maybe earlier. But it houses the general ledger, budgeting, purchasing and accounts payable, cashiering and accounts receivable, payroll, and utility billing applications for the finance department. It's an AS400 green screen. I put that in quotes because the screen I'm going to show you in a minute is blue. But it is a green screen application. And it really lacks a lot of the modern features that applications have nowadays: workflow, mobility, online transactions, essentially to be able to interact with the village in multiple ways without having to come into Village Hall. So that is the screen of the current software, so you can see we're making a tremendous leap in technology here. But HD did its job for 20 plus years, but sorely in need of an upgrade here. So the process we went through, in November the board approved the RFQ process. We had 9 proposals received in mid-November. Staff evaluations completed in early December. Staff narrowed the field down to 4 software packages. Internal committee made up of kind of power users from every department of HTE currently sat through some initial demonstrations right before the holidays. Those were just 2-hour demos apiece and got some feedback. Following that, we asked for an initial pricing from the vendors. Staff went through the initial pricing, narrowed the field down to 3, and requested full-day demonstrations in mid-February. Had a large group of employees sit through those, and then following that, the committee got together and unanimously said, let's try to move forward with Munis. And so the vetting process, the negotiating process, and contract review began. That took us a few months, and we are at the point where we are ready to make a recommendation here tonight for the board. Initially, demonstrations were requested from New World, Tyler Munis, BSNA, and Civic Systems. Full-day demonstrations from Tyler New World. New World was acquired by Tyler in December, which was fortunate timing for the village because we were able to know the fate of the software before we made our decision, and then Tyler Munis and Civic Systems. Again, of those 3, it was unanimous. Tyler Technology Munis. Munis had better integration with Office applications like Excel to be able to not only export things but also import data. So like time cards and stuff like that could be imported into the software. So we're not telling people what application they have to do their work in. They can be comfortable in Excel and import it in. Munis had integrated online services. A lot of the other vendors, or all the other vendors actually, had a third-party application that we'd have to negotiate a contract with, and they would pass information back and forth. Munis was very focused on customized workflow. They had integrated document management, and what we saw from them was really a commitment to stay current. They had developed a mobile app, the only one that we had seen actually develop a mobile application for their software, to be able to do some limited approvals and things like that. And their support was really top-notch in their presentation of it and the services that they offered. So one of the things, just to give you an idea of how staying current on technologies offers you some benefits, they have a feature where you can do online, you can shop online at like CDWs or Staples, and it will actually bring in all of the data in your shopping cart right into purchasing, so you don't have to re-enter it. So it's pretty advanced technology. From a reference standpoint, Tyler Munis is the largest public sector software company in North America. They have 13,000 customers in the government and education fields. Locally here, reached out to Algonquin, Deerfield, Glenview, Vernon Hills, all Munis customers. All had positive things to say about implementation and support after you're a customer. From a cost standpoint, the total for licensing, conversion, and implementation services, a little over $308,000. Travel expenses estimated at $41,500. For travel, we only pay what we actually use, so that's their estimate. And staff believes it's fairly conservative, and they agreed with that. But they don't want to be in a position to have to bill us later, obviously. So it makes sense to be conservative there. So we come in just under the fiscal year 17 budget of $350,000 that we've been talking about for a while here. So there is a couple optional services. One, system management services is really a support that we want to have up front, but that is included in the annual maintenance that is in the memo for presentation purposes. Annual maintenance $50,513, including 2 services: disaster recovery and system management services. So those are included in that annual maintenance number that has the cost comparison in the memo. We currently pay about $57,000, so that is coming down. With that, I'm happy to take any questions. Like to thank, obviously, IS for strong support, and, sitting through what seemed like endless demonstrations at some points. Obviously, Pat, Erica in finance, John Kavanaugh's input was hugely important. Jack, Christine, everybody that sat through all that stuff. All the department personnel that sat through, again, multiple demonstrations. we really had a lot of enthusiasm within the organization for this change, so that's usually one of the hurdles you see, but not here.
I think everybody recognizes using green screens, or dummy screens, as we used to call them, as antiquated, and it only makes their jobs easier as we bring in new software. Questions from trustees?
I have some
Trustee
questions.
Thornton?
Brian, on page 4, and I don't know if this is the right place, but it talks about hardware and software. So does the product entail like installing servers for the hardware portion of data retention?
Yep, I can start and you can stop me. But I believe we looked at that when we were negotiating through the contract agreement, and IS felt that we did need some memory upgrades in-house to be able to host it here. But other than that, the hardware included is just like cash registers and things like that come integrated with the software. So when you're running a transaction at the counter, the drawer will pop open, things like that.
So then my next question is, if it's not servers, where's the data retained? Is it all retained here? So they don't receive.
We take the disaster recovery option. They do off-site SQL replication off to Tyler's data center. Tyler will run the software hosted by Tyler, or you can do it on premise. We compared numbers between the two, and you really paid a premium to have them host it. But the DR option gives you a really nice balance between the two, because they'll do nightly replication off to a full copy of the database, and if you declare a disaster scenario, then you can run it off of their same cloud software or cloud setup that their hosted solution people use. And it compared very favorably to times we had looked at the HTE solution for a similar setup, because the price was a fraction of what we had seen previously. SunGard HTE, HTE was their own company when we started, but SunGard obviously is pretty big in the DR space. And even being part of their company, they couldn't compete with the cost that Munis was able to offer. And it's really the setup for how they're doing it. I mean, you're running SQL Server with off-site replication, so it's pretty straightforward. There's not a big cost or overhead for them for the normal day-to-day operation of it. And then you pay, in case you would declare a disaster, run off of their site, they'd have a few charges for the amount of time you spent running off their system. But it was really an attractive option for us that we really didn't have an opportunity to take advantage before. I kind of moved a little off your initial question.
No, actually, you went to DR, which is where I was going to go next, so that's good. So we are electing the DR option?
We have pricing for it. It's guaranteed for 24 months.
24 months, correct.
And it wasn't something that any of the other vendors offered, and I don't think it was something that we had originally priced into the budget. Correct. So we'll come back with discussion about if we want to take advantage of that or not. I think that was about $8,500 a year, $8,000. I don't have the figure in front of me. What was?
Yeah, combined they were 13,700 something.
So when we launch, we won't have the DR?
It's going to be around an 18 to 24 month implementation. So it'll be, we want to make sure we stay within the budget that we had this year.
So you're going to come back to us with the DR before we launch?
So you've got a phased implementation. You'll bring certain modules online as we go. Right now, we don't have a DR set up on the HTE side of things. We do all of our backups off-site, all that good stuff. But as far as the full-blown DR setup, I don't believe it's proposed on day one.
It is not proposed on day one. We did ask, because we're making such a leap, it's kind of difficult to predict what may change in 18 to 24 months or what we thought we needed that we may not need. So we asked them to quote us essentially everything as optional and hold the price for 24 months, and they agreed to that. So within the budget, there might be some shifting of modules and things like that. And the DR is one of the things we were going to try that we didn't realize up front when we made the budget amount. But one of the things we're going to try to get in there this year and see if we can make that within the budget. If we can't, we'll have a request, obviously, in the fiscal year 18 budget for that included. But again, it's going to be 18 to 24 months, so we'll still only be 3/4 of the way through implementation when we get to next year's budget prep.
Okay.
So.
Anything else? All right, do I have a motion to approve? Motion by trustee Ballmer, second by trustee Thornton. Roll call, please, Andy.
Wilson.
Aye.
Ross. Torstenson.
Yes.
Thomas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5 aye.
All right, motion carries. We have no other new business, so I will reopen the floor for public comment. You have a few more things, Mr. Kohler?
Yeah, Jerry Kohler again. Got a couple of paragraphs I'd like to read to you from some emails and FOIAs that I got. Let me find the right one here. Sorry to take up your valuable time. Pursuant to your request, we have performed a search of our records for the Village of Gurnee's ordinance and entering the village in an agreement with North Shore Water Retention District for sanitary sewer services on the east side of Gurnee. According to our records, the Village of Gurnee never approved an ordinance for annexation in 1998 as per the annexion requirements as defined by the state statute. So that goes to tell me that it's an illegal operation because they required that. I got another, excuse me while I fumble. You get to be my age, things don't work too well. I got a letter here from a previous engineer at North Shore Sanitary District, letter to one of our previous engineers in 1998, which will remain nameless unless you want to hear about it. After our discussion today, dear so-and-so, after our discussion today, I sat and reflected on what has occurred during our phone conversation. I recall the phone conversation you and I had in mid-February of this year when you requested the Gurnee sanitary sewer improvements for your northeast area, which was going to be built in the area that is not currently annexed to the district. And through our cooperation, and in reference, this is from sanitary district to your engineer at the time, and through our cooperation and in direct opposition to normal policy, we issued that permit to you. I also personally spent several hours making a map of the northeast area, which I personally delivered to your office, informed you that we would annex the entire area by board action instead of piecemeal process of individual pre-annexation / annexation agreements. So they circumvented the procedure again. I've got I referenced this in my first conversation with you this evening. Now, forgive me, this is a part of their board meeting minutes on November 11th of 98. Director of Engineering Services Dorn reported as follows. Now listen very carefully to the first 5 words here. Presented a pre-annexation agreement number 338 submitted by, I won't use their name. Now item number 2, on a roll call, this was voted aye, motion carried, declared carried. Now this is item number 2. Presented annexation ordinance number 337 submitted by the Village of Gurnee for 3 parcels. Well, there's 3 parcels on the same 3 pages. There's 421 parcels. There's a difference between presented pre-annexation agreement number 338 and presented annexation ordinance 337 submitted by the village. There was never a pre-annexation agreement, which makes it more illegal or whatever you want to call it. Now, I got this, I referenced this earlier about the school board. I'll just read it. About 18 years ago, Gurnee resident Jerry Kohler had periodically raised the issue of what he contends has been an unfair tax on him and other homeowners because they never authorized the village to annex their land into the North Shore Water Reclamation District. Kohler, who reiterated he has no interest in tapping into the district lines, most recently addressed the topic during public comment time at the Monday night village board meeting. Stallworth, who filed an unexpired water reclamation district term 6 years ago and was elected in 2012, said he's familiar with Kohler and the issue. Gurnee became part of the district through annexation in 1998. Quite frankly, his concern, quote, I'm going to quote, quite frankly, his concerns should be addressed by the municipality, said Stallworth, who was a builder and developer. We've used an analogy in the past that those who don't have children really benefit from the school district, but it does enhance the value of the property, and we think that's the case with Kohler's. Not if I live to be $1 million and keep paying them, they're going to take my pension away from me. Well, I'm saying they're into my pocket for $1,400 right now, and that's wrong. And plus the other 300 people. So anything you can put together, I appreciate it. And if not, we'll go to Plan 3.
Okay. Well, then my commitment right now is to get a meeting with you, me, and Brian
All right.
set up because I know you want to talk
I
about
got
the
documents to
annexation.
show you, and I appreciate you letting me speak tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other public comment? All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Balmas. Second by Trustee Wilson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.